Hello everyone and welcome to Nancy's Magic Touch and DIYs. In today's video, I had decided to make another 10 Easter DIYs from the dollar store for you. My last video was so popular and people seemed to enjoy it so much that I decided to make another one, and we are still 2 weeks away from Easter. There's still plenty of time to do some decorations together. So without any further ado guys, just grab your tea and let's get started.
I got these little mini eggs at the dollar store, and what I'm going to do is I am going to use some toothpicks to put them on because it's going to make my life a lot easier when I go to paint these. I separated my piles in half. I'm going to paint half in black, half in white in some of the dollar store crafts paint, and I'm just using a small paintbrush to paint these. And to let them dry, I'm just going to put them on a flour sponge. I've gotten these cute little glass ornaments at the dollar store a little while ago. And what I'm going to do with these is just use some of the moss grass. And I'm going to use some of my little eggs that I just painted. I'm going to use 2 of each color and put them inside my little ornament. I got these little glass ornament at the dollar store for $1.25, and I'm going to use them to make some ornament for my tree, as I still have my tree up and it's going to be an Easter tree. I'm just going to put a little bit of moss grass inside of it. I'm going to glue it to the bottom of the ornament. Now I'm going to take my little eggs and I am going to glue 2 inside that little ornament, 1 of each color. I bought this cushion at the dollar store for $4. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take a scrapbook paper page and fold it in half. I'm going to make a bunny with this paper, so I need to measure the length that I want my bunny. So I'm going to cut a little bit of the excess paper on the bottom, just to create the length that I need before I draw my bunny on the paper. Now I'm just going to go ahead and draw the shape of a bunny. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the shape of my bunny. Now I'm just going to make sure that the size is okay. I'm taking a leftover piece of plaid napkin that I bought at the dollar store, and I'm actually going to trace my bunny and then cut my bunny. Going to place the bunny where I want it on my pillow, and I'm going to use some hot glue, and I'm just going to go and glue it all around the very edge of the fabric. Now I'm going to use some rope that I got at the dollar store. This was $4 for a big bundle. And I'm going to start on the very bottom of the bunny, and I'm going to glue that rope all around the edge of the fabric. When I get to the crease area, I'm just going to hold it for a few seconds just to make sure that it holds in place. Now I'm going to cut that rope off and make sure that it's secured in place. Now I'm taking a snap button and I'm going to hot glue that on the cushion. I'm going to cut those tags off. I'm taking a pom-pom that I have on hand to place to make the bunny tails. This is not the season and there's no pom-poms at the dollar store right now, so I used one that I had in my stash. I'm just loving this bunny pillow. This will be such a nice added touch to my living room. I bought this little bag of carrots at the dollar store, and I need some little mini carrots to put in one of my baskets in the kitchen. So what I'm going to do with these is I am going to take all the grass part off. I am going to use a foam block, flour foam block, and some toothpick, and I am going to put my carrots on the toothpicks and paint them and then put them on the block to dry. I'm going to let it dry and give a second coat of white paint to each of the carrots. Now that my carrots are all painted and ready to go, I'm using a ink pad, and I am going to take a sponge and I'm just going to rub some ink pad onto my carrots. Now that my carrots are all done, I'm just going to remove all the toothpicks and I'm going to hot glue the little grass back onto the carrot. And here is what my little carrots look like. I have wrapped them up in a bundle of tree with some rope. I bought this nice jar at the dollar store for $4. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to fill the jar with some eggs that I made. I have a video on how to make these eggs on another uploaded video, so I'm not going to do these steps again. I will post the link down below so that you'll know where to go to make these eggs. And I'm simply filling the bowl with the eggs, and that's it. I have wrapped some rope on the top and made a bow. I have taken the bottom piece of a terracotta flower pot and painted it white with some chalk paint. And I have bought a tall glass jar that I got at the dollar store as well. And I'm just going to use a sponge and I'm going to kind of cut a circle with the bottom part of my jar to try to make it fit my jar the best I can. Now I'm going to remove the sponge. It doesn't have to be perfect and be an exact circle, because now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take some scissors and trim it up a little bit. The reason why I trimmed it up is because I want to use some moss grass and put around it, but I want also for it to fit snug to the glass. So I don't want it to be too thick, and that's why I'm trimming, because I need to make it fit perfectly. Now that I have it trimmed to where I think I need it, I'm just going to put the glass over it and see if I have enough space to put some grass around it. Now I'm going to go ahead and use some moss grass, and I'm going to glue that on top, but also all around the edge of the side. So now I need to make sure that the bottom part fits into the glass. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim a little bit of that grass for a better fit. And now I'm going to try it again. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue the sponge to the bottom part of the piece. Then again, go ahead and trim any axes that are sticking out too much. I have painted some eggs the same way I did in one of the previous little project in this video. So I'm not going to do that again, but this time I had put them on shish kebab sticks. So, and I am putting them inside my globes in different lengths. So I have to make sure that the tallest one will be cut to size in order to fit inside the globe. Now I'm going to use a little bit of greeneries just to make it a little bit more full. I also got this greenery at the dollar store for $1.25. I have cut the greeneries in different lengths, and I'm just gonna go and scatter that in between the eggs. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure that everything fits into the glass. Now I'm ready to glue the glass to the bottom part with some Gorilla Glue. So I'm going to put it all around. Now that I have all my glue in place, I'm going to go around, take a baby wipe, and wipe all excess glue. And now I'm going to let it dry for 24 hours. I bought this little baseball bat at the dollar store, and I'm using a utility knife to cut the end of it. And now I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to split the end in different pieces, just so that I can make the bottom part of this bat smaller. And you'll understand what I mean in a minute. Now I'm going to squeeze the ends together to make it like narrower. Now I'm going to take some tape and tape that tightly together. Now I'm going to use some batting, and I cut it up, and I am going to make it go around my carrot, and I'm going to tape it in place. And as I go higher into my carrot, I'm going to put the batting thicker. Now I'm going to take some rope, and I am going to glue it at the tip of the carrot, and then I'm going to work my way up, going around the carrot all the way to the top. Now when you get to the top, it may get a little bit harder to have the rope to stay in place, so you may have to use glue going up along the side and put the glue on top of the rope to hold with each other. I'm using a little bit of tape to attach the batter together so that it'll be easier to put the glue around the batting. I'm leaving a little opening on the top part of the carrot. Now I'm using some greenery that I got at the dollar store, and I am going to apply that to the top of my carrot. I'm making like a little bouquet with it, and I'm going to put that right on the top, and I'm going to put a whole lot of hot glue just to hold it all together. Now I'm going to go around with the rope, and I am going to make it a little bit tighter, and it'll be better to hold the greenery to the top of the carrot. I made 2 of these carrots, and for one of them I'm just going to use some white paint, and I'm going to use a paintbrush, and I'm just going to brush some paint all over the carrot as I want to, but in different colors. I thought these little bunnies were very cute. I got these at the dollar store for $3, but I'm not into pastel colors, so I'm gonna make them suitable for my own decor. I am gonna start by unraveling the wire, and I'm gonna completely take it off the bunnies. Now I'm going to take some black crafts paint and a very small paintbrush, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint the two little bows that are on the bunny's neck. I'm also going to paint the little eggs that are on the little wire banner. Now I'm taking a nail file and just filing the edge of each little egg. Now I'm going to take a piece of cloth and just wipe all that dust off. Now I'm going to stick some little letters that spells Easter on this little banner, and I am going to show you the final result. I've bought these little ornament eggs at the dollar store for $1.25, and I am actually going to use them to make a banner for my fireplace. So first thing I'm going to do is take the rope off each one of the eggs. Now I'm taking some white chalk paint and I'm painting the whole thing in white. Now that they're all painted in white, I'm taking a toothbrush and I'm dipping that into black crafts paint, and I'm just gonna go and kind of spray this, not spray, but flick this all over my eggs with my fingers rubbing on the toothbrush. Now I'm going to take a small paintbrush and I'm going to dip that and wipe most of it off, and I'm just going to rub my paintbrush over the areas of the eggs that are like 3D, that are like kind of lifted, and I'm just brushing that lightly off to give it a nice rustic wear out look. Now that I'm done with all my eggs, I'm taking my toothbrush and just rub a little bit of black paint all along the edge of the eggs, just to make them stand out a bit more. Now I'm going to put my rope that I originally took out and put it all back into each one of my eggs. I've bought these little packs of wooden square, and I'm going to use them to finish my banner for my fireplace. I paid $1.25 for 4 pieces at the dollar store. Now at the bottom of one of these squares, I'm going to find the middle and make a mark with my ruler. And I am going to create some kind of a triangle about like ½ inch away from the top is where I'm going to start, and make my line all the way to the middle mark that I have made. And I'm going to do that on each side, and I am going to do that to each one of my boards that I need. Now that all my boards are ready, I'm using a utility knife, and I'm just going to be very careful cutting that with the utility knife until I go through the wood. So it takes several times going into the same area until you get through. Once you're done with that, take some kind of a sandpaper or a filing block of any type and just smooth the edge so that there's no like splinters coming through. Now that my first one is done, I'm just going to go ahead and just trace the other one to make it easier. Instead of finding the middle on each plank, I decided that it would be easier to just trace them up. Now that all my pieces are cut and sanded, I'm just going to go ahead and use some glove. And I'm going to use some stain. It's called Alexandria by Benjamin Moore. I love this stain. And I'm just going to stain each piece on both sides. I got this beautiful garland at the Canadian dollar store. I paid $10 for it. And I'm going to use that to put my banner on my fireplace. And I went ahead and put some letters onto my banners. I'm missing that part of the video. I apologize. But the letters that I use are Ray Dunn inspired font. And I'm going to go ahead now and put my eggs and the triangle pieces of my banner into this nice garland. These styrofoam eggs at the dollar store, and I am going to paint them all. And I am going to use some shish kebab sticks, and I'm going to put actually 3 per sticks, and some sticks I may just use 2, but I'm going to use quite a bit of them, and I'm going to paint them all and just shove them into a flour foam block to let them dry. I'm going to go ahead and paint all the eggs, and I'm also painting the shish kebab sticks, as the egg is going to remain on that stick, so I wanted everything to be seamless. I ended up making 7 sticks with 3 eggs on each stick. Ignore the little ones on the side, they're for another projects. And now I've taken a nice bucket that I bought at the dollar store, and I have put a big foam flower block in the bottom, and I put some grass, moss grass. And now I'm just going to go ahead and place my eggs randomly into my bucket. Now I'm going to randomly go and put some different greeneries into my bucket, and I got all my greeneries from the dollar store as well. I got this cute little wooden label, I guess, and I am going to just put that on into my bucket, and I'm going to put some cute little letters like Easter or at Easter or something. Now I'm going to use my easy bow tool to make myself a nice plaid bow to add to this bucket. And I am going to glue this bow onto another shish kebabs in order to put it in place in my bucket. I am going to cut some fishtail at the end of my ribbon. I'm going to lightly put heat with a lighter at the end of my ribbon so they don't fringe. Now I'm taking my shish kebab stick and I'm going to apply some glue on the back and then glue that together so I can put it in my bucket. But first I'm going to cut it shorter a little bit because it's a tad too long. I'm just adding a little piece of a wooden flower in the middle of the bow just to go and blend in with the wooden plaque on top. I've bought this placemat for $1.50 at the dollar store, and I'm going to give 3 coats of spray paint in the chalk white paint. I picked up a white canvas at the dollar store and I am going to give it 2 coats of black paint. I took some pine boards and cut them to size for my canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and stain the frame with the nice water stain from Home Depot. I'm going to apply some Gorilla Glue on the back of my egg to be able to glue it to my canvas. I went in the garage previously and put my frame together, so I nail gun my frame into my canvas, and now I'm just applying my egg onto my canvas. Now with a wipe, I'm just going to remove any glue excess. Well folks, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me the thumbs up. I would love to hear your comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to do that. Until next time, have yourself a great day.